With this movie, we're going to talk about building a calendar. Now, a calendar has 12 pages and it has any number of design characteristics, the size of the numbers, the size of the squares. Are you going to be able to write in the squares? Is it a pictorial calendar, a decorator calendar? Is it a working listing calendar? That goes a long ways. I want to look at here as just how to build this calendar. I'm using a display calendar. You can see the picture here is trees in the background and a month in a particular year and the number of days in the month depending on which month it is. And so what I've got here, if I turn off my layers in this example, I've got this canvas, which is the background, which is the size that I want to work with. As it is here, it happens to be 8.5 by 11. And then I have an image that I have processed through Photoshop, and I've sized it and cropped it and fit into this image. Now remember, all 12 of the months are going to have a similar format, different pictures and different numbers and different names of the months, same year, but you have to get a format then, and then with selection of 12 individual pictures, it may be a theme, it might be spring, summer, fall, winter, it could be anything, but I'm just using this picture of trees here. Now, one of the things that happens to the calendar is there's a grid. This grid may not show, but it does help to capture and trap the numbers in the right places in the grid. And then there are the numbers themselves, and in this case I've got numbers that have a contrasting color. As a matter of fact, there's even a drop shadow filter attached here, so you can see without the drop shadow they're a little more difficult to read. That drop shadow helps bring them open so that the light color against light color can be better seen. And then if I turn off the grid, you can see that there's how it's going to sit. The last thing is the date and the year. Could be in a different color, it could be a different size. That again is your design. But it sits here, and there's one other thing that we'll put in later on is the days of the month, the Sunday, the Monday, the Tuesday, the Wednesday, the Thursday. So those are the things that are going to go into this calendar production. But it actually starts in Illustrator. I've got an 8 by 10 picture here in Illustrator, and I've got a margin of a 1/2 inch on the top and the sides and a 3/4 inch on the bottom. I've got the start of my verbiage. Here's Wednesday, and here's November, and here's 30 inside of a square. Now the format is to build this in Illustrator and then take it across to Photoshop and give it shape and color and positioning and size, that sort of thing. The first thing I'm going to do though is I'm going to take a square. I've made a square here that's a 1-point stroke, and into that I've put a character that is under paragraph. It is a line to the right, and that's going to help me back my numbers in and get them all squared away in the right place. My character's impact, I happen to be using a larger 80-point number, and I'm using 30 because that's the widest number in all of the calendar days. The narrowest is 1. So I take this square, and I take the square and the number. I'm going to put it over here against my margin edge right there. All right, I have one of these things. Now I've got to build this grid 7 across and 5 down. Oh, there's only 4 weeks in the month. Yeah, but sometimes they start on Thursday or Friday and end on Monday or Tuesday. So good format practice shows a calendar with 5 weeks. All right, so there's that first square. Now I've selected both of them. Now notice how I've tucked the 30 with its right alignment up here in this corner, and that's going to stay in that corner with every square. I've got to have a bunch of squares here, so I'm going to take this square and the number, and with the Option key down, I'm going to make a copy and drag it out, and with the Shift key down, I'm going to put it so that they come aligned right on top of each other. See how the square is on top of the square? And when I let go of that with my mouse hand and then with the keys, I've got the 30 and 30. This is familiar. I think you remember this from the quilt. All right, Command D, I've got the third day, fourth day, fifth day, sixth day, seventh day. All right, they're all going to be 30s until I go back and change them because I want the numbers to be in the same place even if they're thick or thin or double or one. All right, so there's 7 days. Now I'm going to select all those 7 days and I'm going to grab the edge here, and with the shift key down I'm going to rescale this until it comes back down until it fits inside of my margins. And let's see if I can get there to stay on the margin. All right. I'm going to fiddle with that a little bit more to make sure I'm right on the margin. For some reason it's jumping around. There we go. Now we're at this margin to this margin. We have 7 days across. Great. Now we have to go down 5 rows. So I get my original group here, select them all, option key to make the copy, start them down, the shift key to make them straight down. Again, line the grid right up on the grid. And when one's on top of the other, it looks like one line. Let go of your mouse hand first and then let go of the shift and the option key. Now I've got 2, so Command D, 3, 4, 5. There's my 5 weeks and 7 days. Okay, I'm going to take all of that grid and I'll park it down here so that it's resting on the bottom of my guidelines of this page. So I've built my grid with the number up into the corner here so they're all the same. Now let's assume that the month starts on the first day of the week, which is Sunday. So I come here and I click on this one and I make this, change this 30 to 1. And because it's right aligned, they all tuck themselves into that corner. Now I go here and that's 2, and I go here and that's 3, and I go here and that's 4, and I go here and that's 5, and I go here and that's 6. Be sure you measure along here so you're going in the right place. Like what I'll do too is I'll say that's 7, then this week that's going to be 14, and then the next week that's going to be 21, and then the next week that's going to be 28. I do that 7, 14, 21, 8, 28 so that I'm going to be noticing those numbers, so that the next one obviously is 8, 9, and the next one after 14 is 15 and 16. So it just helps you square things around so you don't lose a number, but be sure and check or count backwards or something. Now if that's 28 and that's 29 and that's 30, then these guys aren't going to be there. There's 30 days, 28, 29, there's 30 days in November. Since we're making November, I'm going to take these guys out. Now in the calendar business, you just leave those squares there, and maybe you put verses or poems or nothing. But here I go, start from 1 to 30 if I'm using this November. Now I'm not going to take the time to go through here, but you would do that. Go through every one of them and click, click, and that's 8. And click, click, and that's, click and get it all blacked out. That's 9, and that's 10. Now I'm going to double figures, 14. So that would make that 15, and that's 21, and this is 22, and then 28, and this would be 29, and so forth. Now, don't worry about the numbers there. We'll catch up with ourselves, but that's how you set the numbers so they're sitting in the page right there, and everything's working to our behalf. Now, I've got this Wednesday here. I'm going to take a copy of that and bring it down. And Wednesday is the widest day as far as the number of characters in it. So I'm going to reduce this down so it actually fits over one of these squares that I've made. And I'm going to bring it over here. And this Wednesday happens to be center aligned, not left aligned, but center aligned. And I'm going to bring it in here and put it right over the day. And if I want to get it centered up, I can actually put a guideline right down the center of that box. And then I've got Wednesday right there. Now, just for fun, I'm going to put a guideline down the center of the second box. I only need those 2 because you know the drill. I'm going to go Wednesday, copy this with the option key, bring it over here, shift key so it comes straight down, and put it right on that guideline right there. Now, if I've done my homework right, I'm backing up now. That Wednesday, if I hit Command D, there's another one, there's another one, there's another one, there's another one, there's another one. It should be centered all the way across. on all 7 days? Well, not every day is Wednesday. So we come here and the first day of the week is Sunday. So just change it out. And it's Tuesday. Well, I'm sorry, Sunday it's Monday. Let's get the thing down the right. And then it's Tuesday. And Wednesday, then Thursday, then Friday, and the last one is Saturday. Now, you might want to go back in and check to make sure that those are, in fact, in the middle of each of the days. They probably are going to be, but, whoops, I didn't spell Saturday right. But you can arrange those and align those until they are in fact centered. But now I have my days of the week. And the last thing is I've got up here November and just some year. Whatever year you're working on, that it might be a little large, so I'll just park it up here and touch to the left and then reduce it to the right a bit. Now it needs to be big enough to be seen but not overwhelming, and that's going to be my grid then for taking it over into Photoshop and colorating and arranging these things so that they fit out. So you eventually save this, File, Save As, and it is going to be your calendar grid build. And I have that then for my transfer. The grid's going to transfer with it to Photoshop, but I'll take the grid out. I don't need the grid there. I just need the grid to help line my numbers up. So this is the first step, is to get this calendar build, grid build page done up in Illustrator, and then we'll take it to Photoshop in the next round.